At the very beginning of the philosophy series, I spent time on something that I don't think we repeated, and much of the class has changed. And that is what the Jew sees as his first responsibility. What is the first responsibility of the Jew? In truth, what? In truth. 1 second. In truth, this is the first responsibility of a human being. You know what it is? To use your brains. To think. And if you appreciate the human brain, our ability to understand some of the deepest concepts, to theorize over things that we can't possibly understand, not only to theorize, but to deal with them mathematically. For example, nobody can imagine the infinity. Yet in math, we use it all the time. We have the ability to reason with that which we cannot understand. We have the ability to retain information. You know, today people don't bother memorizing anything because everything's at your fingertips. But the human brain can carry so much information. We have the ability to understand nuances. We appreciate aesthetics, art, music. The human brain it's just so fascinating. Simply by virtue of the fact that you have a brain, that tells you you've got to use it. You ain't got a brain, you gotta not think. That's so counterintuitive. The Torah holds human beings responsible for things they were never commanded to do. The most blatant example of that was the destruction of Sodom. What was the greatest sin?
Respect.
The greatest sin was?
Yeah, of Sodom?
Yeah.
It's like giving.
They, in Sodom, if you gave,
Punished.
that was punishable by death. It was considered criminal. Helping another human being was considered criminal. Why were they destroyed? Because it is so counterintuitive. The human experience is such that giving is good. Now, they were never commanded to give. But they sort of were when they were given brains. By the way, their philosophy it resurfaced. Nietzsche preached that, and Hitler subscribed to it. Helping people is fostering human weakness. Let people fend for themselves. If you're not capable of being cruel, you're not a man. You're a coward. That is so counterintuitive. Such a philosophy is so unacceptable. That these people cannot survive. Ultimately, they're destroyed. The truth is that ultimately they destroy themselves. I don't know how well you studied the history of the Second World War. Germany could have won. They could have conquered the world. Their hatred for the Jews was such that they wasted so much of their resources on exterminating the Jews that they almost bankrupted themselves. It goes for money and manpower. And their hatred for the Jews, Hitler stated very clearly, because we preached giving, which ran contrary to Nazism. All right, that's an extreme. But to ourselves, we've got to use our brains. See, that being the case, it couldn't be that Judaism is about acceptance. It must first and foremost be about using your brains. And accepting what your brain tells you. Yeah.
What do you mean by acceptance exactly?
I believe. Rambam very clearly writes, the commandment of emunah, which is often translated as belief, he says that mitzvah is to know. How do you know? You think. You use your brains. It's not about belief. This is true for the existence of God. This is true for the authenticity of His Torah. It's true for the understanding of every part of Torah. Yeah. Jews are obsessed with wisdom. It's almost like we worship the brain. Our study of Torah is not memorizing volumes. It's challenging every word. Does this make sense? So don't let anyone tell you that Judaism is about accepting. It's about being wise.
Right. And what about of Chokim?
You have to understand the system, what they're all about. And you also have to be able to prove to yourself that we really received them from God.
How you can do this? Like, for example, paradigm. I can understand, and how I'm going to understand.
We
like,
understand
in a
the
logical
system.
way.
We understand the system. We understand why they're Chokim. The Jew's favorite pastime is arguing. It's arguing, discussing. Making sense of life. The process of studying Gemara is a combination of actually knowing Torah and learning to develop your thinking skills.
What would be the purpose of Chumash then?
Moral, ethical values arrived at by questioning every verse. When we study Chumash, you sit down and ask yourself, what's wrong with what it says?
Isn't that similar with Talmud?
Except with Chumash, it's the story. With the Talmud, it's every step of the way. Chumash, does the story make sense in the Talmud? It's every question, every answer. Was the question really a question? Did the answer answer the question? So on. There's no such thing as study without thinking. The Jew's got to use his brains. A human being has to use his brains. But for the Jew, it's an obsession. unaffiliated Jews have it in their blood. They're still obsessed with the need for education. So if you're ever taught anything and it doesn't make sense, don't let the rabbi get away with it. If he can't make sense of it to you, he's got the wrong profession.
Okay. Last week you said we're talking about learning here and like when's the right time to leave Yeshiva, and you're like when you can open any book and be able to read like English. It means I'm like basically never going to leave here.
No.
Like, what is that like? You can have a love of learning, but
You're gonna, at some point, you're going to make a decision that you want to really pick up the language and you will. It's hard work.
yeah.
You know, adults don't especially like doing that kind of work. You'd rather think than learn a language. But you just got it. You want to be literate.
Yeah.
You know, you'll have to do it.